I needed to produce an 8,000 word, at that time, this is pre-chat GPT. I'm great because I say I'm great and therefore you should fucking believe I'm great. That's just some nonsense, isn't it? That was one of the best documents I ever made for the business. One of the biggest changes that we made when we ultimately started to transition our sales was that we're selling lead generation as an example. Part of our business is lead generation. The digital marketing side of our company, we do digital marketing for other companies. And I realized that I needed to produce an 8,000 word, at that time, this is pre-chat GPT, document, a technical document going through exactly what we do. And oh my God, it was so boring to go through an inordinate amount of detail and referencing what we do when it comes to lead generation, because I was thinking about the technical buyer, but then I was also thinking about the skeptical buyer, and I thought these two are maybe quite close. They're asking about their frameworks because they want to understand me technically, but they're also probably a little bit skeptical. And that's why they're asking about frameworks. So people, have groups in terms of buying decisions. People are never singular. They're typically 2 to 3. So then I was like, right, I'm not only going to build a technical document, I'm going to third-party reference everything that I say so they can link to an article to see that it's not just me saying it. I'm not self-certified. I'm great because I say I'm great and therefore you should fucking believe I'm great. The skeptical buyer won't believe in that. You'd be like, yeah, but that's just some nonsense, isn't it? Where's your proof? That was one of the best documents I ever made for the business because it was a great way to differentiate ourselves. We do X, Y, Z. This is the proof that we've got, and this is validated by what HubSpot talk about in this industry, and that also relates to the wider industry trends as evidence here. And I've got what I'm telling you, servicing the emotional buyer, the passionate person who comes to the call. Is that great? I've been great. I've been hired to find X, Y, Z. Amazing. I send her my case study or whatever, and then she or he forwards it to people internally, and then I come across every single type of buyer when my documents get forwarded on. And that's what happens. When people want to spend money that's expensive, they will ask people about that, whether personally or professionally. And that person hasn't heard your pitch. So you've got to rely upon the strength of your documentation. Your documentation needs to be so strong that your documentation should be able to carry you. If your documentation isn't strong enough to carry you absent you, then you're going to, and that's fine, you're going to be a one-person business. If you want to become a company where you're absent the sales process, you've got to change the way sales happens within your business because you're not there. So then, when you're not there, remember what I said? What was the phrase? It finishes with cares. What's the first word? No, I've already said it. No one cares, right? So your people are not going to have this. Your employees don't give a shit. I mean, we hope that they do, but it's safer to work on the expectation that they don't, because that's the indispensable space. That's Seth Godin. That's linchpin. That's how do you become indispensable. I build a literature and communication so strong that even an unenthusiastic, uninspired salesperson could sell on my behalf. Amazing. What you're building is a system, my friend. What you're building is an extremely valuable company. I want to sell my company one day. Well, you got to make sure that you're not really selling you, because that's not, There's a great memory that I have of a guy called Afir, one of the clients that we worked with for a couple of years, that I got onto the £20,000 a month retainer. They're a diamond company out of Israel. I met them initially through Upwork, which is a platform where you can go and win work, and we slowly went on this journey. And I remember being in the car with him in Tel Aviv. I flew out there and we met, and this was when they were making that decision as to whether they're going to spend 20 grand a month. And they're like, look, we've been working with you for a year, but come out and meet us. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to come. Anyway, so we're in the car, and he was like, oh, Deepak, the fastest way you can determine if a business is truly a business is you look at that business, you find the 2 most important people in that business, you pull those people out of the business, and you see if in 3 months it's still a business. If it isn't a business, it never really was a business in the first place. And I was thinking, you just fucking described my business. So you have to, from the beginning, think about system-based frameworks to help the business grow. Another book that's great to learn that's The E-Myth. Read The E-Myth, the E-Myth. So E-Myth, I think there's a newer version of it, and it talks about the processes that everyone to a degree needs to build a McDonald's style operating handbook for their business. You go to any McDonald's anywhere in the world, or any Starbucks anywhere in the world, and you know what you get because they've developed a process that's been refined. And most people from the ground up don't tend to think about that when it comes to their company.